Welcome everybody, Shir number 953. We're learning today Lila Nishmas Moshe Dov Ben Rabar and Cecil, Lila Nishmas Blima Basra Moshe and Refu Shalem Elio Ben Demalka. Getting back to our malacha of MAKEH B'PATISH and Tikimona. So we're basically finishing off our last Gezerah Midrabanan, in general, the rabbinical restriction in reference to MAKEH B'PATISH and Tikimona, and that is folding garments and linens on Shabbos. Now, we did get a little bit off on a tangent in the last couple of shiurim in reference to hachana. Like we said, sometimes items do come up in reference to other inyanim, which is actually one of the lamites malachas, but it's one of the derabbanans. And sometimes, like in the case, by the way, of hachana preparations for Shabbos, for after Shabbos, there's no real siman in Shulchan Aruch. You can't sort of look it up exactly here, this siman and that siman. It's spread out. It's spread out throughout various different inyanim. I remember once, just to give an example, listening to a shir from Rabelski, Zechat Tzaddik Livracha, Zchus Yogan Aleinu, that they asked him in reference to hachana, so a shaila of hachana, so he told them where to look it up. He said in reference by HILCHOS SHABBOS and taking in the chairs from the sukkah on Yom Tov after Yom Tov. So it's like we said, it's spread out in various different places. So therefore, those are one of the items, one of the categories, one of the subjects actually, which when it comes up, we try and discuss it a little bit more. And there are some other items like that. Whereby, for example, as opposed to, let's say, the halachas of muksa and so on, which, is straight up in the Shulchan Aruch, there's certain simanim on it, which we're going to try and concentrate, obviously, down the road, Bezras Hashem. Okay, so getting back to our malacha, back from the hachana shiurim, which we did a couple of them, and back to the TALIS issue. I just want to discuss one thing interesting in reference to the TALIS, which somebody actually asked me, and it comes up, and you see it. I remember once, myself, way back going back quite a ways, somebody was folding the talis on the line. This could be maybe 20 years ago, and I asked him. I said, what are you doing? Whereas we know you're not supposed to be folding talis on the line. So he told me at that time there are certain heterim, you got a heter, there's certain heterim. I just want to discuss that issue a minute, what that is all about. Okay, so lamaisa, the halacha lamaisa is how we said what's the preferable way, what should be done. Definitely, like we saw in the Mishnah Berurah, one should fold it backwards, and not just that, but to the point that the Mishnah Berurah brings down, and the Sefer Piskei Teshuvos quotes him, Misha roitze lahachmir al atzmai shaloi lekapel klal v'adei yadav. In other words, we spoke about folding it backwards, but those who don't fold their talis at all, they just put it down, shaloi lekapel klal v'adei yadav. That's even better. Just b'chlal, not to fold it at all, not even backwards. So we see there's an Indian to go all the way, not to fold it at all. So so now the question comes up: what about those? There are some who fold it. Is there a problem of somebody bedafka, they must fold it, or whatever the case is, they're nervous, it'll ruin the talis, or whatever the case is? Is there something to rely on? Is there something, any one of the main achronim who bring it down like that, whereby it would not be a problem, at least b'di eved, or in a situation where it's expensive talis, or whatever the case is? So the Aruch HaShulchan, actually, in our Siman Shin Beis, Sif Katan Yud Beis, brings down three different shitas. At the end, he says that there are those v'yesh lem desavale the kipol. Uvismanenu yesh harbe shemekaplim tal soisehem b'Shabbos. Nowadays, there are those who there are quite a number of people who do fold their talis on the line the regular way. So, is there anything to rely on? He says like this: V'yesh lem, it says Aruch HaShulchan, v'yesh lem desavale the v'kipol shalanu. There are those who want to say that the fold, our type of folding, to kipul shalanu leka shum tikkun, is not really a tikkun mon. It's not really the type of fixing that the type of folding whereby it looks like fixing that they used to do way back when. The time of the tircha. So that's one thing. That's one thing that he says. The time of the tircha. What about the problem of tircha? Of loy savle kedas Rashi v'Rambam v'Torah v'Shulchan Aruch. Okay. V'chein kosav b'kolbay. Now he brings this down from the kolbay. He says the bottom line is he brings from the kolbay like this: shenohagu lekapel kol hakelim efshe dekipel ledin didon loy dami lekipel shelahem. It's possible to say, says the kolbay, who's a Rishon, that our folding is not like their folding. What was the difference their folding and our folding? because by them the kapdina ma'oid live shoyd kamotav. They were mamish very, very makbid to get out all the wrinkles. It should be sharp. It should be exactly the way it's supposed to be done. He says the Kolbai, and he's talking about the Rishon from years ago, that's not how we do it. We don't do it like that. Since we don't fold our clothing, our talisim, like they used to do it with such a sharpness, with being so makbid that all the wrinkles come out and so on. So therefore, today, it would not be a problem the way we fold that clothing. Okay, so Lamaisa, the bottom line is there are others also who want to say for various different also other reasons. There are those who want to say that from Shabbos to Shabbos is also easier, and there are others who actually want to say, we're not going to go through the whole thing now. We'll quote everybody. Others who want to say that because of the fact it's a hiddur mitzvah, really, it's a talis, a mitzvah. Other clothing maybe not, but by talis, since in fact it's a hiddur mitzvah, okay, it's covered for the talis and so on. But so that's the bottom line. There is definitely what to rely on, but the bottom line is what we don't want to say the right thing. The Mishnah Berurah holds. The bottom line is the Mishnah Berurah holds, and in fact, in the Aruch HaShulchan, he brings on the bottom the one that quotes from the Mishnah Berurah, the new ones, the red ones. It's not so new anymore. It's like 20 years old. But in any case, they quote the Mishnah Berurah on the bottom, and he says, bottom line is from Sifkat and Yud Gimel from the Mishnah Berurah that the Mishnah Berurah pasak the asal kapel betalis im eina misatif b'bayam. The bottom line is, if you're not going to wear it that day, Mishnah Berurah holds that it's also to fold one's talis for the same day. And Lamaisa, that's Medina the Shulchan Aruch. So, be it as it may, obviously what should be done, the right thing, the lechatchila, to cover all grounds, especially the Mishnah Berurah, is in general, we try and go with the Mishnah Berurah, is one should be careful to fold it not on the lines, to fold it backwards and so on, and even to the extent possibly not to fold it at all. Okay, but most people, I think, we fold it backwards and so on. And if somebody folds it the right way, the talis in general is a little bit easier than the other clothing. But somebody folds the talis on the lines the right way. In general, they say piskei teshuvas and the oitzer halachas, they bring down not to be moicha. They bring it down in such a way, such a lush. In other words, not to yell at them. You don't have to say HILCHOS SHABBOS. In other words, to leave them, and that's all. It's like a lush, and there's something to rely on, and not to go starting a whole thing. If somebody does it, they do it. But definitely, preferably to fold it. Not on the line, not in the crease, and backwards, and so on. Now, even the place can bring down taka, even if somebody folds it on the lines itself. By the way, just to read the lashon from the Sefer Yitzra Halachas, and then Lamaisa Piskei Teshuvah brings it down like that. Also, minig harbe b'nei yadam lahakol, that there are quite a number of people who are makel to fold the talis the regular way. And he says the bottom line is how they bring it down. Vein limchas b'yadam the yesh lehem al mal lismach. In other words, you don't have to be moicha. You could leave them, and there is what to rely on. Now, the Sefer Piskei Teshuvah is interesting. Brings down that some even want to say further that even though one who's makel to fold it up on the line, yakpidu b'moitz Shabbos lepoishte lechazari lekapla kahoigen lefi ki pulai. That some, even though they'll fold it, they'll unfold it. Motzi Shabbos, we said there's an Indian from the Maril. He's brought down. Mishnah Berurah brings down Maril. I think it's the Magen Avram brings down Maril that there's a big Indian to fold the talis Motzei Shabbos for Shalom Bayis and so on. So even one who folds it brings down the Piskei Teshuvah the regular way, to open it up and refold it, Motzei Shabbos again. Okay, so be it as it may, I don't want to spend too much time in it. Bottom line is, obviously the best way to go is not to fold it at all. But Lamaisa, Lafi the Mishnah Berurah in general, the standard line down the road, if you want to call it, to cover most grounds. Anyways, most sheets is L'chatchila v'shua, to fold it backwards, comes after Shabbos, you refold it the regular way, and that's l'chayre how most people in Minig Olam. Somebody does it, somebody sees somebody else doing it on the line, somebody feels that they have to do it, a new talis or whatever, they're very makbid. So obviously there is what to rely on, and one does not have to be moicha in those cases. Thank you for listening. Atzlach and bracha kol tov.